Apologies for the late start. Welcome everybody into the TexAgs post-game wrap brought to you by Higginbotham Insurance. The Aggies lose 27-24 to LSU. This TexAgs post-game wrap is brought to you by Higginbotham Insurance. You probably only think about insurance when you need it, but at Higginbotham, they think about your risk for you because they want you covered all year long. They start by listening and end with a custom solution that fits your needs and your budget. They do it all from car to home, to health to business, employees, and insurance. Higginbotham's got you covered. Place that leads with value, so they're your value leads. Call Tyler Smith at 979-871-3162 or visit higginbotham.com. And I guess I'll start off with this. This is like Les Miles all over again, only a little bit more painful. Another performance where the Ags were bad in the first half. Defense was lights out in the second half until the final drive. It was like I felt the victory coming. Michael Clemens just dominating. And unfortunately, they could not stop him on the final drive. And yes, there were some officiating blunders, but unfortunately, it comes down to it. And LSU is able to score on their final possession and leaves the Ags only 20 seconds left in that game. As I mentioned, just another bad start. LSU able to march down the field partially because of penalties and the ability to convert on a 3rd and 7, a 3rd and 9, and a 4th and 1. Then a 50-yard field goal, 3-0 LSU. A&M then with just 7 plays in the first quarter. LSU controlled the ball for 9 minutes and 54 seconds. LSU then gets A&M with a big strike, 45 yards to Jeray Jenkins, 10-0 LSU. The Ags did have one great drive in that first half where all the stars showed up. Spiller, A-Chain, Watermeyer, all with big plays. But the biggest facing pressure, Zach Calzada fires at the Moose Muhammad, 13-yard touchdown, 10-7. The Ags looked like they were trying to end the half by eating some clock, pinned up deep into their end zone. They punt. 2 plays later, another big play. Max Johnson to Trey Palmer on the short pass. Terrible passing. You would think they get into the end zone, 17-7 LSU. No tackling there. In the second half, after a punt by both A&M and LSU, it's Moose Muhammad again with the big play. This time he picks up 39 yards, but the Ags can't get 7. They only get 3. They're down 17-10. A&M can't capitalize on getting the ball in the midfield, but LSU does go the length of the field. They get 3. Davis Price with a 29-yard run sets up that field goal, 20-10 LSU. Then A-Chain gets going. He picks up 21. He picks up 18 and more. Jalen Preston with a 15-yard touchdown. They're down just 3, 20-17. The defense brings 3 more sacks. Bam, bam, bam. Michael Clemens a big part of that. Calzada with maybe his finest work avoids a sack. Jalen Preston, rest of the way, 32-yard touchdown. The Ags are up 24-20, but you know how that game ended. LSU converts on that 4th down. They go the length of the field, and they score a touchdown, and the Aggies end up losing this game. A lot of thoughts on this one. Just a very disappointing game. I'm here sitting in the coach's booth right next to the press box and just thinking to myself, the roller coaster that this season has been, the roller coaster that this game was, from what a disastrous start. Felt like Ole Miss, felt like Arkansas, felt like Colorado, just a terrible first half. And then the second half, you're like, wait, we might really do this. And the defense was just lights out until that final drive. And I know I didn't see it on the broadcast. I was on the field on the Ags' final punt where it looks like they were able to rip the ball away, and they said he had forward progress, whatever they ended up saying. That should have been A&M ball, game over, but the defense could not get things done. All right, let's go around and say hello to the gang who usually joins us. We'll start things off with Chris Taylor. Here on the program. Chris, somber mood, obviously, because I had already figured that the Aggies were going to lose the way that first half went. It was just a disastrous performance for the most part. Then a phenomenal performance there midway through the third quarter and the fourth quarter, only to lose that way. I mean, it just felt like Les Miles, but worse.
Yeah, man, this one it stings. You come into that game, you sleepwalk through the first quarter, you don't play up to your potential, but you give yourself a chance to win in the second half. And defense, like you said, they played lights out, made some big plays. Clemens was a man amongst boys tonight, just all over the field. Defense is swarming, doing their thing, and then we just can't finish. For me, the question always is, how do you not get up and you come out ready to play for an LSU team? They may be down this year, but it's still LSU. This is still your rival. This is still the team that has dominated this series since joining the SEC, and we come out and we're sleepwalking through the first quarter. We're not, we don't have a chance to possess the football. But it was just a lack of emotion. It was a lack of urgency, and that can't happen. We saw that in the Ole Miss game, and that lead was too much to come back from. We see it again in the LSU game. Now we come back and we take the lead in the second half, but you've got to be able to close those games out. And that is the frustrating part for me, because you did everything that you could. You did everything that you were supposed to do. You weathered the storm, you come back, you fight, take the lead. It wasn't a pretty, a pretty game at all. But then you give up the huge plays down the stretch. And so, for me, I look at that last play, that last LSU offensive play. And I understand we're coming with zero pressure, but that, Jalen Jones, he can't give that up over the top. That my frustration is there's been nothing that shows me that he can play that coverage. Why you're real on that coverage and you're giving a guy that has dominated all night. I think it was 8 catches, 162 yards, and we basically give him an island that we're playing, Jalen's on him, and we give up that big play. So huge disappointment, really frustrated. It just this one stings more than any of them this year. I mean, we look up and we've given Jimbo a lot of money to win these close ball games and to start fast and to come out and to be a better football team. And we look up at the end of 2021 and we're 8-4 again. And that's where the frustration is. When do we get over the humps? When do we stop losing these football games that we're not supposed to? LSU was 5-6. Not to say they don't have talent, but they were not a better football team than us, and we did not play well enough to beat them. They won. They sent Edo out on top, much like you said with Les Miles. And now it's back to the drawing board and get ready for bowl season.
Guys, I'll say this. I'm seeing a lot of people coming after Zach today. Zach was not the issue today. I think Zach had a gutsy performance. Did he have some issues? Of course he did. I mean, the sack where he fell when he was trying to avoid a sack, and he made it happen for them. There were some issues, yes, and sometimes he threw the ball a little too hard. This was a team loss, and what I mean by that is they couldn't get the running game going early. They had too many drops from an offensive perspective, especially in the middle of the field. Defensively, they got roasted early in the first half, and then they got roasted on the final possession of the game. There were a lot of moments in this game that the Aggies could have seized control. And you talk about the way the first half ended, exactly the way the second half ended. Just a horrendous turn of events, a team loss here, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, everybody had a hand in it. And, this is what I challenge. People challenge, say that Zach is XYZ. I get it. Zach has his things that he needs to work on. And I understand he's playing at a Power 5, SEC team. He's playing in the Power 5 conference, doing those things. But getting hit in the mouth by a 300-pounder, it doesn't feel good. And you continuously keep getting hit, and you keep getting hit. And I understand it makes it tough to sit in there and make those throws down the field. And so all of that can't be put on Zach. Some of that has to go with those men up front, those 5 guys up front. I think they do a phenomenal job, but there is something, they have some responsibility in that too. How much are the backs supposed to be able to help and pick up when you have guys that are coming off the edge and blitz pickup and things like that? But then how much are the receivers, the tight end and the receivers, how much are they responsible with blitz pickup and side adjusting and breaking their routes off too? So this is not all on Zach. Zach is the quarterback. I get it. It usually, you're the guy when you win the games. You're the GOAT when you don't. And so this wasn't Zach. I thought Zach played well enough. If you remember, less than 2 minutes, we're in the lead 24-20. Zach has made it as rough as it was, as much as he got hit, as much as he was running for his life. We're still in the lead. We're giving the ball, we're giving this thing to our defense, who is what we call the strength of this team, and we just don't hold the lead. So, no, it's not a Zach Calzada problem. This is a Texas A&M football team problem, and we didn't make enough plays to win the football game tonight.
CT, here's one final thought before we go to Brandon Leone. This is an 8-4 football team. And it feels so much different than what 9-3 would have felt like, because to me, 9-3 with a chance to win your 10th game, with all the issues that A&M went through this year, you could sell that to the fans and everybody. But right now, even though I know that the trajectory is still very high for this program, this loss is going to sting, and it's going to make the season what it could have been. Because what it could have been was a college football playoffs, is what we thought initially. When that was out of the question with the way Haynes went down and the two losses early on, we felt like a 10-win season would have been a nice one and maybe backdoor yourself into the SEC West. Now you're talking about another year where you're just middle of the pack of the SEC.
Right, and that's very frustrating because you look at that team last year. Your only blemish is Alabama. You're returning a lot of guys that were a part of that team that understand the culture, understand the standard, understand winning. And then you go out and you lose. In my opinion, you lose to 4 teams you shouldn't have lost to. You start with Arkansas, and you didn't match their intensity. And then you turn around the next week at home and you let a quarterback throw for 400 yards. And then you go to Ole Miss. And again, we're talking about you didn't match their intensity. And then we come to LSU. And again, we're talking about you didn't match their intensity. And so somewhere along the lines, it's not just about X's and O's. You got to show up and be pissed off and ready to hit somebody in the mouth. And we didn't do that in 3 of our losses this year until we decided that we were going to play in the second half. If that team in the second half of those games shows up from the time that ball is kicked off in the first quarter, I think we have much different results. And it is frustrating. 8-4, 10 wins feels better. 11 wins feels even better. But I think this was a championship caliber football team. You had guys in the backfield that you loved. Yeah, we have injury at wide receivers, but who doesn't have injuries? You still have to find ways to win. This is what these top recruiting classes are supposed to be. Where are these guys at, and when are they going to step up and make these plays? And then we've got to be able to protect. Our defense can only take us so far with the play that they have and how hard they play and the plays that they make. But at some point, guys who have been given the scholarship, guys who have been entrusted to be out there on the field to make plays and give you an opportunity to win, you've got to step up and you got to make the damn plays and stop making excuses and saying it's the ref or this or that. You just got to go make plays and give your team a chance to win these football games.
All right, CT, hold tight for a little bit. Let's go to Brandon Leone now, and you're listening to the TexAgs post-game wrap brought to you by Higginbotham Insurance. And Brandon, I'm going to start this off with you. This team's backbone has been a running team with a very good defense. Why can't this team run the ball even if the defense is stacking the box? I'm having a hard time understanding why a team – I feel like there's certain teams that say when we're going to run the ball, we're going to run the ball. I don't care how many you put out there, we're going to get 3 to 4 yards per carry.
Well, I mean, I think it was disappointing to see number 6 not touch the football in the fourth quarter. There's a lot of reasons why I'm sick after tonight, and we can jump into a lot of those. But that one I just do not understand. I think the fact that LSU still has a great front 7, right? We know that the SEC is a tough league to run the football in. But, man, 3rd and 2, right? All you need to do is get 2 yards, and you roll out to the opposite side of the quarterback's throwing arm, and you throw it to the tight end short of the sticks. That play call to me is just unbelievable. The thing that seemed to be working for us in the third quarter was kind of running more of 11 personnel with 6 in the game. And, again, I'm the biggest Spiller fan on the planet, but I just don't think that this was the game for him, the team for him tonight to play against. I think 6 should have touched the ball significantly more. But yeah, it's frustrating, man. I mean, it's 3rd and 2. You get a first down, essentially you probably in the game. And so, yeah, there were some bad calls by the refs. There were a lot of things that could have gone our way that maybe didn't from an officiating standpoint. But ultimately, we did everything we could to lose this game, I think. And it's frustrating because the slow start, again, 4 losses to teams that you have more talent on the roster than. And like CT said, we're paying these really good coaches a lot of money to win these really big games. And you're right, 8-4 compared to 9-3 with an opportunity to win 10. It's devastating. And I really, I'm frustrated, brother.
Yeah, man, it's frustrating. And I think especially because of the roller coaster that this game was. And Brandon, tell me how your emotions were, because I'm watching that first quarter. I'm like, why can't this team bring it early on against teams on the road, especially? And then in the second half, you're like, well, wait a second. Where was this team in the first half? Where was that team in the first half against Ole Miss? Where was that team in the first half against Arkansas? Where was that team in the first half against Colorado? I know they ended up winning that game, but you think about that, and then to have that final drive where you have them on, what was it, a 4th and 10, 4th and whatever it was, 4th and 9, okay, and no timeouts. The defense was tired. Like it just, you needed one more play.
Well, here's what's frustrating is we are absolutely destroying their ass on the front four on defense in the third and fourth quarter. And even on first, second, and third down, we do. And then we go to fourth down and we go to 3-man rush. It's the thing that got us absolutely gutted against Mississippi State. It has not proven to be fruitful for us at all this football season, like zero. I mean, Michael Clemens and our 4D linemen were destroying this offensive line, and we switch it up and start playing scared. And so you're sitting there thinking, while they're driving down the field, call timeout, readjust, and get out of this, prevent type defense, right? Go back to playing what worked for you in the whole third quarter and 80% of the fourth quarter. And we change it. It doesn't make sense. These are the decisions I don't understand. It's not my job to understand it because I'm sitting on a couch, with my family watching the game. But it's frustrating because that shouldn't happen. That drive should not have happened. We were absolutely controlling that offensive line in the second half.
Let me throw this out here because, on this show, I like to go back and forth from perspectives, right? And let's just say the Aggies do end up winning that game, all right? They stop them on 4th and 10. And the reason I'm saying this is we'd be sitting here talking about how great Jimbo and Elko and everybody was there in the second half because of the complete turnaround. What I'm looking for, though, is a team that does it all game long, and it doesn't come down to, boneheaded defense at the end of a game. And look, I don't mean to pick on anybody, but they shouldn't have gone, what was it, 85 yards, whatever it was, and scored a game-winning touchdown. I kick a field goal, try to do a Hail Mary, but they marched down the field after those first 3 plays, and they destroyed us.
Well, Jimbo keeps talking about wanting to be in this rare air, with these elite programs like Alabama, like Georgia, like Ohio State. And we're never going to get there if we play Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde every football game. We are not good enough yet to play 1 half in a 2-half football game. We cannot only be intense for 30 minutes in a 60-minute football game. If you start slow against teams that have elite talent, even when they're 5 and 6, it's extremely hard to overcome. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas have already shown us that. This team, Texas A&M football team, is more talented than every single team that beat them. But they did not play 60 minutes of football against those 4 teams. When they did it against Alabama, what happened? Dub. When they did it against Auburn, what happened? W. It's frustrating because we are not putting it together as a team. And so here we are, 8-4, joke of the internet on Twitter. You're trying to close out a number 1, 2, or 3 recruiting class in the country. And what are you going to say? Because you're going to get negatively recruited pretty hard. And, it's our backup quarterback. Well, Zach Calzada played well enough to win this football game tonight, okay? Yeah, he looks scared sometimes backing up 20 yards when there's no pressure. I get it. We can all complain about that. But the dude gave us a lead. We're winning 24-20 after a horrendous start. We should have closed it out. We didn't. I mean, just no excuses. It's just a horrible loss.
A horrible loss. No loss feels good. No loss feels good. But this one, I think, hurts a little bit more than what I was expecting because of the way they lost. And here's another thing to consider, Brandon. They're not going to get a chance to get this taste out of their mouth for a month, right? And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm any A&M player playing in that bowl game, I'm thinking about this loss every day. I wake up with it, with a sticker on my mirror to remind me what happened at LSU. I'm using it all off season. I'm using it during spring game. I am using it all summer. And next time I play LSU, I'm beating them 50-0. That's the mindset that you have to have. And whoever the bowl game is against, and now obviously that is not going to be as prestigious of a bowl game. No. They're going to have to pay for it.
You have to, man. I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard of the guy Inky Johnson. He used to play football at Tennessee. He's like a motivational speaker now. Super impressive guy, very impactful. I mean, the guy talks about it, and he says this. He's like, anybody can do things when things are going well. Anybody can, play hard when they're winning. Anybody can do all these things. But when you're down, can you bring these championship mentalities, these championship habits to every single game. I don't care if it's Mississippi State. You can't only get up for Alabama and Auburn. You can't only get up for home games. If you want to be a championship football team, you have to get up for every single game, right? You can't just take it out on Prairie View and think you're going to roll into Baton Rouge and cruise because they're 5-6. You've got to bring intensity from the warm-ups to the end of the game. And like you said, man, through the third quarter and a lot of that fourth quarter, look how Michael Clemens plays football. If every single one of his teammates brought energy like he did, and I know a lot of those guys do, man. These guys play hard. But the first half, we started slow. And so there's the lack of intensity, I think, in the first half of all 4 of our losses. And then I think then some questionable calls that I just don't understand. Like you said, and like CT said, this is an absolute team loss. And it's one that I know the locker room is feeling sick, because if we're this sick, I can't imagine how sick the guys on the team are. But like you said, bring that motivation. Like, let this hurt become something that moves you forward as a player. How you practice, how you work out, how you train, everything it takes to be great. You have to bring it all the time. And we didn't bring it for 30 minutes of our 4 losses. And that's why we're 8-4 instead of, 10-2, 11-1, maybe even 12-0.
Let's bring back CT here into the show as we continue to break things down. There's a message that was for you, Brandon. I'm trying to find it here. Here it is. I'm just going to read it out loud while I put it up there. Brad says, Brandon is on TV calling it a horrible loss. Doesn't help anything. I don't know why he tuned in for this. I'm already upset. And the reality is it's kind of like therapy. Like, we're all upset here, CT, right? I mean, we're all disappointed with the way this game went. And I think the frustration is probably even worse knowing this should be a 9 or 10 win team, and it's not. It's just in the middle of the field.
Right.
Yeah.
And Brandon, you've played this game. You've played on Kyle Field. You've felt the energy of the 12th man, and you don't like to lose any games. But when you have one that, I mean, for all intents and purposes, you had won this game. It's 4th and 9. It's mind blowing how you go from that emotion of man, this thing is done. We're going to win this thing. You're up, and then it gets snatched away. I mean, it tears your heart out. And I hurt for those guys that played tonight, because I don't think anybody goes out there and says, I'm not going to give any effort tonight. I'm going to be half speed. I'm not going to do this. And those guys play their guts out. But you got to remember, LSU has a pretty good damn football team over there too. They've got a lot of talent. The record doesn't show it, but they've got some guys that are on scholarship as well. And for you to have one where you're winning, you're supposed to win it, and then to have it snatched away, man, that just rips your heart out. And you look at the talent. I mean, that front 4. I mean, these guys, they all should be playing on Sunday next year. And you expect Leon and Richardson, you expect them to be able to have an opportunity to play. And then you go to the offense, and Kenyon and Jalen and Isaiah, and you expect these guys, Anias, to have a chance to play. So you have guys that are good enough to play at the next level, but for some reason we just couldn't put it all together on the field at one time to be able to give the record that we're looking for. And so that's what's so frustrating about this football team, because it is that Jekyll and Hyde. It is, you fall in love and you see great things and you're like, man, we finally got it. And then 20 seconds to go in the game, it's snatched away. So, man, I don't know. This one's hard. This one's tough. It's harder than a lot of others, because you're supposed to win that football game tonight, and you lose it late. So that's my 2 cents.
Brandon, let the people who are watching that are sad, and you made them even more sad for after you punched them in the face with the facts. What is something we can be optimistic about?
Well, here's the thing: is there's plenty to be optimistic about, and all you have to do is look at the talent on the field. And so again, I think that's exactly what we're talking about. Brad, I understand your frustration. It sucks hearing us talk about how painful of a loss that was. Let me tell you this, and I know CT and Nuño agree real quick. It sucks to get on here and have to talk about a heartbreaking loss, because nobody wants to speak negatively or hard truths about something that they love. And I think that's why we're all hurting today, because we love Texas A&M. We love this football program. We love this team. We love this university because of what it's done for all of us, how it's impacted our lives. And so the reason that you can be optimistic is because we are fielding a team of talent and recruiting at a level that this university has never seen. And so that kind of feeds the frustration of why we're upset tonight, because we know that, I mean, CT just named all the names. And that's what hurts about tonight is you're going 8-4 and you're sending guys to the league that we're not going to ever get to see play again. They're good enough players. This is a good enough roster to compete for a championship. And we're sitting here 8-4 after getting our heart just stepped on at the end of the game, that game that we should have never lost. But the reason for optimism is because the young talent, Moose Muhammad, Bryce Foster, Reuben Fothery, Devon A-Chain, you got Jalen Jones, you got Edrin Cooper, you got McKinley. I mean, there's multiple players. Antonio Johnson, I think, is the best player on our defense, and that's saying a lot, in my opinion. And we got a lot of young guys that we're just starting to see in Prairie View. Keith Brown, Amari Daniels, L.J. Johnson. There's enough talent on this roster to go and compete for championships year in and year out. So the frustration and the hard part about tonight is that we are sitting here venting, discussing about, whining, complaining, whatever you want to call it, about being 8-4. And that sucks, because I played on a football team under Franchione that would have got beat by this team, 70 to probably 7. And so I can see the talent on this team, and I know the potential they have, and we just didn't reach it. We did not reach it.
Not on the road, Brandon. Not on the road, apparently.
Yeah, maybe not on the road.
Hey, and I do want to pull this one back up. Optimistic about 8-4 with a question mark, Kelly. No, not that we're optimistic about the way this season ended, because this season is going to have a bad taste in our mouth forever, really legit forever. But optimistic because I do think Jimbo's the right guy. B, I think we played with our backup quarterback, and I think Haynes, Connor, and Zach next year are hopefully going to be all in the fold. Optimistic because we are reloading at running back. Optimistic because the 2 freshmen on the offensive line are going to be even better next season, and whoever joins them out there. Optimistic because the recruiting class that is coming. Now, am I upset the way this season went? The narrative of this year, 100%. This 8-4 is not acceptable at Texas A&M. It wasn't acceptable before, but we went through it. It is certainly not acceptable now. And in the future needs to be 10-win seasons, 11-win seasons, 12-win seasons, and hello and natty.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a stat today, and correct me if I'm wrong. Saban and Alabama, 14 consecutive 10-win seasons. But it didn't start like that when he got to Tuscaloosa. You had to build it, and that starts with recruiting. That starts with bringing in guys that understand and that can play the daggum game. And so, David, you hit right on it, man. That is the optimism, because you have an opportunity to have possibly the #1 recruiting class. That's never happened, for an A&M football program. You have an opportunity to have that class, and then you just keep building on top of that. And so the talent is there, and just got to keep building on these recruiting classes. But then you've got to make sure that these guys are getting better on and off the field. They're studying their craft, they're learning what they're supposed to do, and they're getting better each and every ball game. And so the biggest thing that they're going to have to work on the offseason, how do we start fast? How do we get out of the gates fast and put teams away that are not supposed to be on the field with us? And once they learn and have that killer mentality, man, sky's the limit. It's going to run through College Station.
Hey, let me jump in here real quick. I do want to – where did it go? I lost this one. It was about the offensive line, and just basically the freshman. There it is. David saying that these aren't freshmen anymore, no reason to continue to struggle. No, but Kellen Mond was not the same quarterback after 7 starts that he was after 20 starts and beyond. Experience, you have to earn experience. It just doesn't happen overnight. And I think those guys, for being freshmen, had an excellent season.
Yeah. They had a phenomenal season, and they improved significantly. And you saw that, based on those first 3 or 4 games where they really struggled. And then the middle of the season, when we went on a 4 or 5 game winning streak, you could see that progress. And then, Nuño, one other thing about the optimism. Someone can look this up and call me wrong if I am, but I saw something on Twitter from one of the Rivals guys or something a while back, one of the websites, that said of the top 50 recruits that A&M's ever signed since they've been tracking this stuff, 25 of them have been signed by Jimbo. So half of the best players we've ever had come through this program have been recruited in the last 3.5, 4 years by this guy. And it's just continuing to trend upward. So don't get it twisted. We're recruiting at a level that this program has never seen. And so, yeah, there's reason why we're pissed off because we know that the talent's there. But this is also a guy that's won a 5 active national championship, now 4 with Edo leaving after tonight. But he's one active national championship winning coach. He recruits his tail off, and he's a proven winner. We're going to get there, but this is just disappointing. I understand everybody's hurting, but there's no reason to jump off the cliff.
Master Dragon is holding on to a couple of my statements and I think misunderstanding what I'm saying. You can never say we should have 10, 11, 12 win seasons. It goes up and never goes down. No. The expectation as a fan, a member of the media, is that's who A&M is. A&M is one of the programs that should be in the mix every year for the college football playoffs. I recognize we are not there, but I do recognize we are starting to recruit at that level. And eventually, I believe we break through. I thought it would be this year. Last year, they tasted it a little bit. And I think we're going to taste it more often than not.
Yeah.
100%.
And to kind of put a punctuation on it, man, these guys didn't go out and say, hey, let's lose this football game. Let's half-ass this thing. Let's not play hard. Let's not do those things. I always say those guys are their own scholarship too. And so I'm encouraged by the effort. I'm encouraged by what our guys do. I'm encouraged by the talent that's coming back. And so, I get it. People are frustrated and saying, it's crazy because we're not getting to where we're not hitting the expectations that we have set forth, but it's coming. And I truly believe, David, you said it earlier, I believe Jimbo is the right coach. I believe that we are recruiting one heck of a recruiting class. I think that we follow that up with 2023. You get guys healthy like Chapman, you get Demas back. You're also going to be able to get Haynes back. You're bringing Connor in. You're bringing in a defensive line that is scary. Shamar Stewart, we haven't called his name in a while. You get those guys back, and you have some guys coming back that can really make a difference and change the trajectory of your program. So that's why there's so much optimism. That's why there's so much trust that this program is going to turn it around. These 8-4 seasons are going to be a thing of the past, and A&M is going to be mentioned in that upper echelon of college football programs, and they're going to take that step to be competing not only for the SEC championship, but then also take that step to be competing on that national stage with the college football playoffs.
Hey, guys, let me just do one last comment here from Brian and get both of your thoughts on it. Try to go maybe 30 seconds each. We talk recruiting. Is it play calling? There's a lot of calls that seem questionable or not reading the defense. And not that I want you to answer that per se, but it was a question before the season. It became a question during the middle of the season, the way this offense runs. I do believe when Jimbo has a quarterback that is what he needs, the offense is fine. But do you think the offense needs to evolve a little bit, even though we know his calling card is balance attack?
I think it's execution. It's the at the end of the game there, I didn't love the play call, rolling your right-handed quarterback to the left, but I believe it's execution. And I don't think a lot of people understand on offense, it just takes one to break down for the whole play to break down. And so, when everything is hitting on all cylinders, you saw what that third quarter looked like. We're up and down the field. We're putting points on the board. We're doing things. I would love to see, us to run the football a little better. But I think it's more so about execution than it is about play calling, because he hasn't called anything different that he's called all year, but we're talking about, 4 yards to carry, 5 yards to carry. And so when the offensive line is blocking and we're running and we're hitting the holes and we're not dancing and we're doing like we're supposed to, it's simple execution. And it takes one person if it breaks down. But if all 11 are on the same page and everybody gets where they're supposed to be, you see the home run shots like A-Chain running, and you see the balls over the top, and you see Isaiah running for 4, 5, 6, 7 yards at a time. So I think it's more execution rather than play calling. And he hadn't called anything different than he's called all year. It's just about guys executing the plays that are called.
Brandon?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the offense personally. I think that whenever we have elite quarterback play, I think I said that on Twitter during the game, I think this whole offense is based on elite quarterback play. And when Jimbo has a guy in there that's elite and really experienced and knows the system, like look at the trajectory of Kellen Mond and how he finished. When he has a guy in there like that, or a Jameis Winston, the personnel matchings that we throw at people, the way we move the ball around and distribute it, I think it's extremely hard to stop this offense when executed well. CT hit the nail on the head. This offense with good quarterback play and execution is one of my favorites because I think it translates to the league. I think it prepares players for professional football, and I think it's one that when everyone's hitting and you got talent like we do, and where he's in the right mode from a play calling standpoint, I think it's a great offense. Sometimes you can see the feel, like he felt it against Alabama. I think he was dialed in as a play caller. I really do. But at the same time, how come we beat Alabama? Calzada played an elite football game. Like he played his best game of the season. And so, yeah, I agree with you, Brooke. We should have won, not LSU.
And I love this comment here from the Master Dragon out there. Alabama win wasn't a waste, but we fumbled the aftermath. And ain't that the truth? Because
100%.
I agree with that statement. Yeah.
It certainly felt like, at that point, you could really make something of the season. And look, I haven't really figured out what bowl they're going to go to. In my mind, I thought they were going to go to the Citrus Bowl. Potentially, they can go to, what was it, the Outback Bowl, whatever it's called now in Tampa. I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go, but I do know that I need them to get the taste out of all of our mouth, right? Because this was a bad loss. And let me tell you real quick, I was on the sidelines for the majority of the fourth quarter, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of the sights and sounds that I saw. When I walked down, they had just taken the lead, and that sideline was amazing. When Michael Clemens had those sacks, I'm telling you, the people I was around, the players, everything was amazing. Obviously, afterwards, we all felt the pain. But I watched some star players. Some star players are going to go next year in the NFL very early, leave with tears on the field. This game hurt them, guys. They knew they had it. And if you think we're hurting, trust me, they're hurting more.
Oh, man, there's no doubt. Look, that loss was painful. And, again, I think it was painful for all of us because we love it. And, so I wrote this, I forget which game it was, maybe the Alabama game, like how bad we needed that win as a family, man. We need to avoid losses like this as a family because they hurt us all. But there's no question that this coaching staff and those players are hurting. And so my advice to everybody would be to, and I need to take my own advice for sure if you follow me on Twitter, to not, jump off the cliff, to support this team, to support these coaches. And I could probably handle the loss better myself. But, yeah, man, Nuño, you hit it on the head. I know those guys are hurting because if I'm sitting up here hurting as a 37-year-old that's, all washed up and watching TV, I know those guys are hurting. So it was a tough loss, man. That one hurt.
Gentlemen, I thank you so much. I know it's been a up and down season doing this post-game wrap with me. I appreciate that. I look forward to catching up with you guys during a bowl victory here in about a month.
Sounds good.
Sir. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate you guys. All right. That's going to do it here for the TexAgs post-game wrap. Unfortunately, this one ended freaking disaster. I mean, literally, it could not have gone any worse. And I did not see it coming. I did not see it coming. I really thought they were going to make a big play at the end. And this was a very tough one to swallow. I appreciate you guys. I know it's not easy to talk Aggies after a loss like that. And I appreciate all of you who participated in the chat and in this show. Trust me, it's hard to do this show. Trust me, it's hard to go to that post-game press conference and ask questions after a loss like this. But thank you so much for being a part of this show, and we will connect with you guys tomorrow with the Luchador podcast, and then afterwards on Monday with Olin Buchanan there in the Go Hour, the first hour of TexAgs Radio. Appreciate everybody, and gig 'em, and let's do it. Thank you very much.